I think it's disgusting. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this. Fifth player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the fourth round. A quarterback that's sitting there in round 4 with other quarterbacks being taken who aren't as good as Shedeur, aren't even close, in my opinion. The NFL has been clueless for 50 years when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks. Clueless. They have no idea what they're doing in terms of evaluating quarterback. That's proof. There's proof of that. They say we know exactly what we're talking about with quarterbacks. They don't.
ESPN's Mel Kiper just unleashed on the Cleveland Browns total meltdown mode. He didn't just call them out for losing games, he said they're losing their minds. And caught in the middle of this madness? Shedeur Sanders. The kid walked into Cleveland's locker room and probably thought he'd stumbled onto a sitcom directed by pure chaos. It's almost impressive. How do you manage to ruin a generational talent before his career even begins? Leave it to the Browns to give us a masterclass in dysfunction.
Hey, Sap. Well, Mel Kiper is the latest to go at and destroy the Cleveland Browns organization over this whole quarterback situation when it comes to Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Now, we all know who Mel Kiper is, well respected in the sports of football. Mel Kiper's big board, his draft board, he gives you great breakdown on players. And he said some things about the Cleveland Browns organization that you don't want to miss.
It's one thing to lose games, it's another to lose your entire sense of direction. For the Cleveland Browns, though, losing doesn't feel accidental anymore, it feels habitual. While other teams rebuild or reload, the Browns seem dedicated to perfecting the art of disappointment, reinventing it year after year like it's their signature move.
This is not the first time that Mel Kiper has gone viral for his takes and thoughts about the NFL draft. He's been doing this as long as anybody. He practically invented the NFL draft with his enthusiastic draft coverage, but we have never seen anything close to this with his consistent remarks about Shedeur throughout. It's okay to be wrong. When you're in sports and you give takes, you can be wrong. It's just a matter of when to let it go, and he continued to pour in, and Reese Davis at one point stepped in to try and destroy the narrative that Mel was building.
Apparently, ESPN's Mel Kiper has finally hit his breaking point. The man who built an entire career on draft grades and player evaluations didn't just deliver another hot take, he dropped a full-blown reality check. It wasn't analysis, it was an execution of logic, patience, and whatever hope Browns fans still had left. Looking straight at the franchise, Kiper echoed the question the entire football world has been asking for decades. What on earth are you doing?
Why not let Shedeur get a series then? Heck, let him play in some NFL action. You moved him up to 2 on the depth chart. There's a couple minutes left. Game's over. Why not let him get out there and get his feet wet a little bit in the NFL in a setting that doesn't matter as much, just like he did in preseason? Made no sense to me. ESPN Cleveland looked at this and said, well, maybe that's why the Browns didn't put in Shedeur. They didn't want to start a quarterback controversy, right? You put in Shedeur at the end, he goes and scores a touchdown, and all of a sudden everyone's going to scream that he should be the starting quarterback.
Because somehow, the Browns managed to take Shedeur Sanders, one of the most promising young quarterbacks in recent memory, and turn his arrival into a full-blown cautionary tale. It's like watching someone buy a brand new Ferrari, only to drive it straight into a lake moments later.
Mel Kiper is the latest to go at and destroy the Cleveland Browns organization over this whole quarterback situation when it comes to Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Now, we all know who Mel Kiper is, well respected in the sports of football. Mel Kiper's big board, his draft board, he gives you great breakdown on players. And he said some things about the Cleveland Browns organization.
The Browns have a supernatural talent, give them something beautiful, something full of promise, and they'll find a way to turn it into chaos. Every single time. Now, let's be honest, Shedeur Sanders doesn't arrive quietly. He's not just another college standout chasing a dream, he's the son of primetime himself. The name alone brings pressure, but the talent? That's undeniable. Arm strength, precision, poise, everything about him screams future franchise quarterback. Except for one problem, he's in Cleveland. He's already exposed what's broken inside that organization, the instability, the endless shuffle of coordinators, the obsession with quick fixes that never actually fix anything. The Browns don't develop quarterbacks, they test their willpower. For most teams, the offseason is about building a strategy. In Cleveland, it's about surviving one more year of new plans, fresh visions, and the inevitable scapegoat once it all crumbles. And this time, it feels like.
Since 1999. I mentioned the quarterbacks, they've had busts galore, right? But they had one they hit on. When you hit on a quarterback, and you know in that building and on that field, you got the right guy who's a leader, the players rally around, and you let him go and you cut him loose, shame on you. So again, that's again speaks to where we are right now. You mentioned 2 first-round picks. They had their own, which was going to be high, and they have Jacksonville's pick as well. They got work to do. And again, figure out Dylan Gabriel. That was Kevin Stefanski's guy. Shedeur Sanders, Andrew Barry brought in because he was there in the 5th round, and we took him, see what happens. I'm not ready just because the league doesn't speak. I don't care what the league says. The league doesn't speak about quarterbacks. They don't know any more than what you and I do, Field.
Shedeur Sanders might be the next name sacrificed on the altar of dysfunction. Picture it, you grow up watching legends, training under one of the most iconic figures in football, and you enter the league ready to carve your own legacy. Then reality hits, your new home is a franchise so chaotic that quarterbacks once flipped coins just to decide who'd start. The Browns keep preaching about building something special, but what they've really built is confusion. Their coaching staff feels less like a football operation and more like a group therapy circle. Every coordinator vows to unlock potential, yet somehow manages to lock it in a closet instead. Shedeur didn't come to the league for this circus. He came to play football, not to co-star in another episode of How to Waste Talent in 10 Easy Steps. The tragedy? Cleveland once had a window, a brief, shining moment when it looked like the curse might finally break. A fierce defense, a bruising run game, and a city that believed again. But hope in Cleveland never lasts long. Because this team doesn't rebuild momentum, it repels it.
Saying that the organization ruins quarterbacks. Because we've seen everything that he talked about. You look at Baker Mayfield, he's down in Tampa, he's showing out. Cleveland gave up on him. You look at Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has balled out ever since he's been traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Flacco damn near threw for 500 yards today against the Chicago Bears. That was a great game. It came down to the wire, and Chicago pulled it out. But we've seen what Joe Flacco has done ever since
The draft was supposed to be the turning point, a chance to finally build around a true quarterback of the future. But instead of rising to the moment, the Browns treated it like an afterthought. No real investment in the offensive line. No defined offensive identity. No strategic vision tailored to the skill set of a young, dynamic passer. Just chaos dressed up as confidence. Mel Kiper saw it coming from a mile away. You can picture the look, that familiar, disappointed glare of a man who's spent years trying to believe in this franchise, only to realize the doubt was always justified. The Browns keep saying they're committed to winning, but commitment takes more than slogans and press conferences. It takes structure, leadership, a steady hand when things fall apart. Unfortunately, Cleveland's version of commitment looks a lot like loyalty to dysfunction, because in the NFL, talent alone isn't enough. You can have the arm, the brain, the body, but if the system around you crumbles, even greatness doesn't stand a chance.
Has completely let the Cleveland Browns organization have it of the way that they're handling quarterback situation when it comes to Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders this year. Now, we've all seen the quarterbacks that came out of Cleveland, and Mel Kiper, he alluded to the situation with all quarterbacks coming out of Cleveland. And basically he's saying that, the Cleveland Browns organization, they destroy quarterbacks.
What unnerves analysts most about Shedeur isn't his talent, it's the chaos around him. Every rookie quarterback needs support, a consistent playbook, a dependable offensive line, coaches who build confidence. Cleveland offers none of that. Instead, they hand quarterbacks a laminated good luck card and a headset full of mixed signals. Preparation? The Browns call it optimism without a plan. Every move is hyped, every decision sold as the one, only to spend months explaining why it failed. Rinse, repeat, rebuild. And in the middle of it all, the fans suffer. No fan base deserves this emotional roller coaster. You can feel the tension, the expectations, the pressure, the spotlight tracking every pass, every choice, every loss. When Mel Kiper speaks up, it's not for drama, it's because he's watched this movie before. The Browns are masters at catching lightning in a bottle and leaving the cap off. There's a dark comedy to it. Cleveland has all the ingredients for greatness: passionate fans, a historic football city, and a front office that somehow makes every simple task unnecessarily complicated. It's almost impressive how they turn progress into parody.
The players are underperforming, the coaches are underperforming, the general manager's underperforming, but as long as the owner is the head circus clown,
which he is,
and he's P.T. Barnum. He's picking all of these people under him. This is who he is. This is what the organization is.
And
he's not going to get it right until he walks away and hires people to do it.
Right. And it's not impossible to win with a bad owner, but it's much harder.
Meanwhile, Shedeur's talent is there, waiting to be honed. Poise, pedigree, precision, everything screams future star. But potential counts for nothing in a system that devours its own. The warning signs are already flashing: miscommunications in camp, vague coach statements, and that all too familiar "we're figuring it out" energy that never goes anywhere. Every NFL team has flaws, but Cleveland's seen custom-built: coaching chaos, inconsistent drafting, locker room drama, a trifecta of dysfunction. Yet every offseason, they swear this time will be different. Culture will shift. Vision will sharpen. Leadership will solidify. And by mid-season, the chaos returns like clockwork. You almost have to admire the consistency. Wins may be rare, but disappointment is guaranteed. For Shedeur Sanders, this isn't just a test of skill, it's a test of endurance. Can he rise above the noise? Can he survive long enough to change the system? Make no mistake, the league is watching. Everyone sees his potential. Everyone also knows the Browns' reputation. If it ends badly, the fault won't be Shedeur's, it'll land squarely on an organization that can't seem to save itself.
So, I don't trust the Cleveland Browns when it comes to their quarterback situation, on or off the field. So, they announce on game day that Shedeur has a quote-unquote back injury, yet he did go out to warm up. They watched him warm up and they disqualified him because he's got a back injury. I don't trust it for 1 second. Bailey Zappi has I said it 5 times on the show, he's been the unofficial, unstated backup quarterback all along because Belichick once drafted him in the 4th round as a potential replacement for Tom Brady. Stefanski.
You can almost feel the irony thickening. The same analysts who once hailed the Browns' rebuild are now asking if the rebuild itself needs a rebuild. Mel Kiper didn't just criticize, he exposed a pattern: decades of hype, heartbreak, and chaos. The Browns aren't cursed, they're just perpetually confused, mistaking noise for progress and momentum for leadership. And when it all unravels, they act surprised, as if the universe is to blame rather than their own decisions. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is caught in the crossfire, a young quarterback trying to navigate a storm that began long before he arrived. It's almost poetic, a generational talent trapped in a generational mess. Cleveland's turnaround won't come from another press conference or a flashy reset. It comes from something they've rarely done: stability. The simple truth is this: if you keep changing everything, nothing ever changes. Same story, new cast. Names change, mistakes don't. Replace Shedeur Sanders with any other young quarterback, and the ending would remain the same.
So Mel, now that you've had time to sort of catch your breath and internalize everything that happened, because your reaction during it was visceral and real, and I understood it completely, and I knew that that's how you were going to react. Now that you've had some time to take it all in, what are your final words on the way that whole thing went down?
I think the team that ended up with Shedeur would find a Shedeur that is all into that team. I think Shedeur just wanted, hey, you have faith in me, you have belief in me, who's going to have that faith, that belief? And in the draft process, until draft day and your pick, you really don't know. So, Cam Ward got that assurance from Tennessee.
Until Cleveland figures out its identity, it will keep doing exactly what everyone expects, almost getting it right, then finding a new way to fall apart. There's a tragic beauty in it, a franchise desperate for redemption, yet so addicted to dysfunction that it can't stay out of its own way. Mel Kiper's rant wasn't just a critique, it was a eulogy for wasted potential. History has shown us one thing clearly: Cleveland doesn't just struggle to win, it struggles to learn. And if that doesn't change soon, Shedeur Sanders could be the next promising name lost to the same pattern. The NFL thrives on comeback stories, redemption arcs, and underdogs rising. The talent is there. The opportunity is there. All that's missing is direction, the one thing Cleveland has been short on for decades. It's not too late. But time is slipping away. And if they fail, Mel Kiper won't need to speak again, the results will say it all.
Jimmy and D. Haslam, the owners of the Cleveland Browns, y'all gotta cut it out. Whatever is going on there is becoming too obvious that you're trying to break the kid here, because realistically, he should be in the game already. I know you're trying to try out another quarterback. You're trying to make sure that whatever you do, you get your point across them. It's becoming more and more ridiculous on you guys' part. You're not winning, so it's not like you're not having them on the floor, on the field, because you guys are winning and you're trying to preserve something. At this point, it seems like you're just trying to go as far as you can to get a negative response out of him, and we don't like it.
Every other franchise plays football. The Browns play roulette. For Shedeur Sanders, the real challenge isn't just winning, it's escaping the cycle long enough to rewrite the story. If he pulls it off, it won't just be a personal victory, it'll be a miracle for Cleveland. But if the Browns fall back into their usual rhythm, overthinking, overpromising, underdelivering, history will slam back, louder than ever. So here's the question: how many more generational quarterbacks will Cleveland be handed before it finally learns to protect one? The answer hinges on something the Browns have never mastered: getting out of their own way. Until then, Mel Kiper's warning echoes like prophecy: give them a quarterback with all the tools, and they'll hand him a toolkit with no instructions. But what if Shedeur Sanders is different? What if he's the one to finally break the curse, not by depending on the Browns system, but by surviving it? Maybe the true test isn't winning games, it's staying sane long enough to change the narrative.
And it's going to show us in real time you don't know what you're talking about, because you told us in the draft this was your hand-picked quarterback. It is the exact reason Shedeur Sanders doesn't get reps, because he's going to give every opportunity for Dylan Gabriel to throw his way out of purgatory. It's the reason he dropped back 58 times against the Steelers. The jig is up, Kevin. We understand what it is. We get it. And when you don't have Quinshon Judkins to prop him up, you see what happens. The offense is terrible. Kevin Stefanski has been outcoached by all types of coaches. The offense is JV, high school, Lakewood St. Ed's dump-offs. His best...
The city deserves that moment, that one season where everything finally clicks. The fans deserve to stop hearing next year. And Shedeur deserves an organization that believes in him more than it believes in its own excuses. Mel Kiper's rant might have stung, but maybe that's exactly what Cleveland needs: a wake-up call. A reminder that talent wasted long enough has an expiration date. Football isn't just about skill, it's about alignment, the right player, in the right system, under the right leadership. And Shedeur Sanders, whether he wants it or not, might be the Browns' last shot at proving they've finally learned from history. The question is simple: can Cleveland build something worth believing in, or will it do what it always does, take something promising and watch it crumble from the inside? Because if it ends like every other story, Mel Kiper won't have to do the crucifying, the results will do it for him.